I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 1st, April Fool's Day, brought to you in part by VITALIX. Not all tubs are created equal. Stretch your profits with every single lick. Those cows need the protein and energy to breed back. VITALIX wants to have a tub giveaway for Feeder Flash gang members. If you're watching this video on the NationalBeefWire, click on the ad that's very close to this video where it's showing. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down into the description and click on VITALIX down there. Take you to information where you can sign up to win a free VITALIX tub. Get the blue tub, your cows will love you. For more information, go to vitalix.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, about 3,500 head. I was talking to Conk there on Monday evening, and he said, you know, it's starting to lighten up a little bit. They've sold a lot of the cattle coming right off of wheat. There's a lot of graze out cattle out there still. Says if it doesn't rain in the next week or two, then they will be seeing those graze out cattle come to the sale. If it does rain, then maybe a month or 6 weeks we'll start seeing those graze out cattle coming back. But we've sold a lot of cattle in the country, and of course this market has brought them to the sale barns. But starting at 8 o'clock in the morning here on Tuesday, Beaver County Stockyards is going to have about 3,500. They'll have 500 to 600 head of calves, most of them weighing 400 to 600 pounds, and about 60% of them to be weaned. 800 to 1,000 head of yearling heifers, most of them weighing 600 to 800 pounds. One particular group, 140 head of black and black baldy, dry wintered, grazing type yearling heifers, just weighing 600 pounds, and green. Said they were really attractive to turn out, guys. About 2,000 head of yearling steers. They got a load from Raiden there. Gardner Genetics weighing in the 8s, and really nice cattle. Thompson Outfit's got 155 head of grazing steers, and Cameron Outfit is going to have a couple loads there weighing from 6.5 to 800 pounds. Really nice yearling steers there. On Wednesday, they're going to have a cow sale. Basically just a typical cow sale. Starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. There'll be probably less than 50 solid mouth and younger bred cows. Everything else will just be older bred cows and weigh-ups. Someone's going to get hurt. Reminds me of an old Waylon Jennings song there. Someone's going to get hurt before we're through. And of course, we've been saying these types of things periodically through this big rally that we've seen. But people are starting to say it this week again. We haven't heard it here for several weeks. We did when the market lulled out a little bit, and then when it started climbing again, everybody got excited, and then we're going back to the moon again. But people saying that this week, and if you look, you just got to protect yourself, guys. And we're talking more about buying feeder cattle or buying background in cattle or cattle to background. That's probably the dangerous part there. The cow people are loving it. Finally, they're thinking, "My gosh, it was about our turn." But you know, if you're buying feeder cattle, you can still hedge those cattle. We saw your CME feeder cattle index hit an all-time high again when it came out on Monday of 291.50. It went up $4.74 on Monday when it came out. That was mostly with your Friday and weekend on there. And why did it go up so much? They don't cover that's all government reported sales. They don't cover very many sales on Friday. People that work for the government, they don't want to have to be at a sale on Friday. You had 8,000 head in Fort Pierre, and it was higher than hell. That's going to infiltrate that a lot more. Had about half as many or less directs in the southern plains that were dumped in there. So you saw your weighted average got you know, promoted more by those extremely high cattle up in the northern plains. CME cash feeder cattle index was 289.60. It was actually down 19 cents. Of course, that's Monday, but it was pretty moderate there on Friday. Of course, your real-time index is what we cover with automated market reports through Cattle Market Central, and we cover more sales. We cover a lot of sales in Kansas, a lot of sales in Oklahoma, and in and around other places in the 12 areas that the federal government and the federal state reporters just don't cover. So you see it more volatile there. If you take that 291.50 times 800 pounds, which is what it's supposed to be based on, that's $2,332. If you use something conservative, let's say $1 a pound cost of gain, which it would be easier to do that than the northern plains than it would be in the southern plains because they got the access to the corn. But you could still take those cattle, take them all the way to 1,600 pounds, put another 800 pounds on them, and break around 196. That's including all the expenses there. You can do that. So protecting yourself, you can do that. And most people that feed cattle are hedged up. Most of their lenders make them be that way. But if you're turning backgrounded cattle out, buying calves, let's say you buy a 500-pound steer calf for $4 a pound, it's going to cost that. And you know, you're going to take it up to 800 pounds this summer. You only get, you go up to 288, which is where you can lock in those 8-weight steers for late this summer or early this fall. That only gives you about $300 a head to take them there. And a lot of places where you turn them out are going to charge you that much. So, you know, it's a little bit scary. And a lot of people that turn cattle out and have forever, every summer of their adult lives, they haven't been protecting themselves. And if they don't protect themselves, they could stand to lose a lot of money if this market should drop out from under, or the rug gets pulled out from under these cattle. It could sure happen. You know, we could wake up one morning and these cattle could be $50, $100 cheaper, and they'd still be really, really high. And you guys know that's true. But the board was down on Monday. Why was it down? Well, the fed cattle sellers failed last week. They should have gotten more money. The packers were short bought. The packers were scrambling. Everybody knew that. Guys were selling cattle, and as soon as they hung up the phone, they called them right back, and they wanted the cattle. We had gained big hunks of ground for 2 weeks. And we could stand to gain a little more. Maybe not gain $5 or $6, but sure gain $1 or $2 last week. But they failed. You know, we sold cattle for $214 the week prior to last week, and a lot of cattle brought or $215, and cattle last week bring $214, and a lot of them bring $213. That's in the north. Now in the southern plains, they lost just $1. But they shouldn't have lost that. You know, in a perfect world, and I'm not sure that's not why they didn't start those, but, you know, your Texas Cattle Feeders Association or Kansas Livestock Association, Nebraska Cattlemen's, you know, they would like pool their heads together, everybody that's a member. Hey, how are you guys sitting? How many cattle you got ready? And a lot of them still put out show lists. Why not pool their heads a little bit and say, are you guys okay? They like these cattle weighing 17 something as much as they like them weighing 16 something. How are you guys setting? Oh, I don't need to sell any cattle. Okay, let's do what the packers did this past week, coming in saying, oh, we're out of the market in certain areas. You know, how would your packers like it if they come to Nebraska, and Nebraska as a group of cattle feeders selling negotiated cash said, we're not in the market this week. We're not selling anything this week. Whoa, that would change things. I've always said it's easier to get 4 heads together than it is 400. And the guys just aren't doing that, and they don't have any kind of a group that helps them do that. They could do that in Kansas. There's only, what, 5 or 6 guys that you have to get their heads together. In Texas, there may be 3 or 4 guys to get their heads together. That's the same as the Packers guys. And, you know, get your heads together. Say, I don't think we're going to sell any cattle this week. Well, everybody's scared of packer retaliation. They know whenever things come back around and there's more cattle available, oh, they're going to punish them for that. Well, You know, I don't think there's going to be a lot of cattle around for quite a while, so this might be a good time to lower the boom on them if we want to continue to see this market getting higher. And some people think maybe the market's high enough. I don't know. If I was selling cattle, I wouldn't think that it was high enough. I'd keep wanting more and more and more. We've got these analysts that keep telling us, oh, you know, we're going to be affecting demand, and people aren't going to be able to buy this beef, and they're going to start shying away from it. You can't get in a steakhouse any evening, let alone Friday and Saturday night. Try to get into a Texas Roadhouse, even Thursday. Let's say Thursday through Sunday. Let's say you want to stop at a Texas Roadhouse, which not the best steaks in the world, but they taste pretty good. They marinate them for a long time, and it's fun to go there. Just try to stop in there and go right to your table. It doesn't happen anywhere. And go to some of your better steakhouses, some of your local steakhouses that maybe charge more but do a better job. You can't get in one. You absolutely cannot get in one. You know, as long as people are still putting tattoos all over themselves and buying those vape things, you know, I think we're going to be all right on the steak. Those kind of people aren't buying steaks anyway. They're buying $2.99 cheeseburgers at McDonald's. Well, that's the other part of the beef market, and I think it's good there. I don't think they're going to shy away from that. But people are still going to buy steaks, and especially if people are celebrating or going out trying to have a good time, they're going to buy them, guys. And we're starting to see maybe them tighten up a little bit on the middlemen between the wholesalers and the retailers and the food service and all that. Maybe they're going to have to tighten up a little bit as these prices get to record levels. We are starting to see people keeping back replacements, and we're starting to see the demand for replacement cattle higher, and eventually we're going to build our herds back up. Will they get as big as they were before? No. Will the market go down as far down as it did before? No. I mean, we're slowly inching up tighter and tighter as we move up, but we are going to get over the hump in this cycle. I was in Woodward, Oklahoma, or just south of there on Monday afternoon, and working for DV. We had a sale there that Ron Cunningham and family put on, and it was CW Ranch and White Cattle Company there, and had it there at the White's Welding Shed there, just out in the rural there, about 4 miles south of Woodward, Oklahoma. And they had 175 head of first calf heifer pairs there, as nice as you'd ever want to find anywhere. They were commercial, but you know, they had newborn calves all the way up to about 250-pound calves on them. We sold them there, and then we grouped them and bunched them up. It only took about 20-30 minutes to sell them, and sold those first calf heifer pairs, 175 head of them. They sold from $4,800 to $5,350. Wow. But you know, that's probably a better deal if you've got grass or a place to put them than blowing your brains out for $4 something on 5-weight calves. But you guys be the judge of that. If you're looking for some replacements, I've got a sale coming up here. Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. Their April special cow sale here is going to be Thursday at 5 p.m. They've got the Wheeler Spring Bull Sale is going to start at 5. They've got 25 Angus bulls and 20 registered fancy young Angus females. Then at 6 o'clock, they're going to have Callaway's sale. They're going to have over 1,000 head, including 5 dispersals. A lot of these older people are finding this a good time to get completely out, and you can't blame them, as there's nobody behind them, guys. But they're going to have 60 first calf heifer pairs. They're going to have 150 young spring pairs, 150 young fall pairs. Then they're going to have 250 head of heavy bred cows and 300 fall bred cows. At the Callaway Livestock Center, special cow sale is going to be on DVAuction. It's their April cow sale. They have one every month, but this is going to be really a humdinger there. Get a hold of Jack Harrison. Go on to Callaway Livestock's website, or get on to DVAuction.com if you're interested in that sale. Let's talk about your board for Monday. April live cattle futures were down 102 at 207.80. June was down $1.20 at 203.65. Your back months were down 60 to down 97. So it was a down day, but not terrible. But you know, the fat cattle arena, the people that trade the futures there, they look to see what that trade did, and they saw that it was lower. They don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it was lower. They failed. The market's not still going up, so they're backing it up, even though there is a basis there. But that's just the way that goes. April feeder cattle down 47 cents at 286.45. May was down 67 at 284.50. Your back months on feeder cattle unchanged to down just 50 cents, so not too bad. Look at your grains. How about May corn up 4 cents a bushel at 4.57 1/4. Beans down 8 1/4 cents a bushel at 10.14 3/4. And hard red winter wheat for May up 5 1/4 cents a bushel at 5.57. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle sales on a direct basis out of your 5-area feeding region sold 52,800, which is a lot less than the previous week when the market was up so much at 77,100. Same week a year ago was even lighter than what we saw last week at 46,500. Live sales of fat steers and heifers ranged from 206 to 215. Now that was up 4 on the bottom side and down 1 on the top side of the price spread. There was only 30 head that sold at 206. So that shouldn't really have even been included. There was only 110 head at 215. Most of the cattle sell from 207 or 8 up to 214. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5 area was 212.14, down 62 cents from the previous week's weighted average. Your dress sales last week, 330 to 345, steady to $2 higher. And there was 3,247 head of dressed steers and heifers, that brought 345. Now that's big time, guys. That was way better than what we even thought. And you could tell it on the weighted average on dressed steers, 338.32. That was up 317 when your live price weighted average was just down 62. But as a whole, the North traded 211 to 214. That was $1 to $2 lower. Dress sales were steady to $5 lower from 330 to 345. And the South traded mostly at 209. There was some 210, but it was enough to be $1 lower there at 209. Nationwide, we sold 62,600 head negotiated last week compared to 95,000 the previous week and 63,700 this same week a year ago. But of that 62,600 nationwide negotiated sales, only about 6% of them sold for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So packers are still short bought. I guarantee you. And they had a big week last week, and they've moved most of their purchases through. I tell you what, they're still short bought. It's going to continue to be that way. I may have sounded bearish when I started this report. I don't think this market's going to top out for another couple months. I think it's going to be sometime in May when it tops out. And I think the dog days of summer, that when the market usually sucks, we're going to be short of cattle then too. Now it is going to be lower because it's just traditionally lower that time of the year, and it will be some lower, but I don't think it's going to fall out of bed unless we see some kind of a black swan come along, guys. But negotiated grid sales last week totaled 34,500 head. Forward contracts 52,100 head. Formula sales 262,400. Of the 4 out of 5 areas out of the 5 that we get information, Iowa sold 16,850 last week. Nebraska sold a bunch. They were really light the previous week. 22,700 last week. And Kansas 7,650. Texas sold 5,600 last week. A market out east that may not have a lot to do with the whole scheme of things, but It's a market that I'm familiar with, and they get some interesting markets out there. New Holland Sales Stables in New Holland, Pennsylvania. That's Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. They were selling fat cattle in their Monday auction up in the low 220s. It had a Piedmontese slaughter bull, weighed 1450, bring 241. How you like that? How about box beef cutout values? They started the week higher, and we've gained the last 2 weeks big time on our wholesale beef market. But choice cuts on Monday up 244 at 335.26. Selects up 133 at 320.01. Your slaughter was fairly disappointing. Just 104,000 for Monday estimated cattle slaughter. That's 15,000 less than just last week and 4,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Virginia Cattlemen's Association. Now there is a state and a cattlemen's association that has been promoting their own cattle, promoting Virginia cattle since 1944. That's the main reason that they're in existence there. They also aid in marketing. They do a good job with some of their graded sales and tele-auctions and things like that. Check out the Virginia Cattle app. Now this is a one-stop shop for all your Virginia cattle information. You can get on to your app store and find that Virginia Cattle app. Butch Foster even did it. You guys can do it too. For more information, go to virginiacattleman.org. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Late in the day on Monday at 289.60. That was down 19 cents. Of course, the latest CME cash feeder cattle index is that big booming record there, 291.50 after your weekend sales. So that's going to have to come down quite a bit whenever we pump these high volume commodity cattle from Monday in there. But talk about your big sales on Monday. Of course, Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, only 4,800 head. And the steers were steady to $5 lower. You know, that's all brought on from that fail in the fed cattle sales last week. It just shifts everything off tilt. Steers were steady to $5 lower. Now some of the heifers, your lighter heifer calves and your bigger feeder heifers were steady to $5 higher, but your middleweights from 5 to 700 pounds were $1 to $5 lower, just like the steers. But it shook up the feeder market a little bit. Joplin Regional Stockyards had 10,050 head. Don't forget, Joplin's got a special cow and bull sale coming up here on Wednesday at 4:30. They've got primetime livestock video coming up on Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m. But Joplin's sale, the market was very uneven. I mean, wildly uneven. And I wish the market reporter would have broke it down a little more when he does this. But, you know, we call it 10 lower to 4 higher or something. It's just pretty wildly uneven. But I put the automated market report, and they were your NationalBeefWire stick out sale of the day. You can see what the market is according to the weighted average compared to the weighted average from the previous week. And you see, you know, you had some negatives in there, you had some positives in there. The biggest negatives were on your lighter heifers. And they did note, of course, even Skylar on their video noted that the quality was not quite as good as what it was the previous week. But look at your best tested weights. 666 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 444 at 401.69. There were 935 head of 5-weight steers. They averaged 538 at 364.14. That doesn't sound terrible. How about 726 head of 6-weight steers, average 659 at 320.56. 974 head of 7-weight steers, average 755 at 293.17. 1,554 head of 8-weight steers at Joplin Regional Stockyards, averaged 838 at 277.65. And 628 head of the 9-weight steers, averaged 922 at 261.69. Look at some heifers. How about 819 head of the 4-weight heifer calves, average 455 at 344.43. 1,058 head of 5-weight heifers, average 558 at 316.66. 876 head of 6-weight heifers, average 650 pounds with a weighted average price of 282.29. And 535 head of 7-weight feeder heifers, Joplin Regional Stockyards, average 748 at 264.80. Give you some individual quotes from all around. Check these out. How about Elgin livestock sales in Elgin, Nebraska? That's eastern Nebraska. They sell 5 loads, average around 960 pounds. One purchase there at 274, weighing over 9.5, guys. That's a big time quote. How about Aberdeen livestock sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota? 53 head of steers, weighed 818 at 303.25. That's not any cheaper. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, check this quote out. Don't get this very often. Out of Meridian Livestock in Meridian, Mississippi. Who says you can't sell load lots and some of those sales down in the southeast? Just let the guys know that they're coming. They'll make arrangements for them. Those order buyers are sitting there. They can buy load lots too. But these cattle come in there to Meridian Livestock. They were purchased weighing around 600 pounds as cutting bulls around Thanksgiving time, and then they were backgrounded locally there. 3 colored cattle, slick-hided, had a ticket ear, but good feeding cattle there. There was 60 head of them, a square load weight 836, bring 278.80, add about $8 to $12 freight on those to get them somewhere where they can feed commercially, guys. Big time quote. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.